Good morning, Breakfast Clubbers. Our speaker today is a good friend of mine I met back in 2015. He has helped me tremendously in building my business and my collateral on the internet. I have been published on the Huffington Post, the Good Men Project, and had an article picked up by Mamma Mia, a large publication out of Australia. Kimanzi Constable is the author of 4 books, 2 of which I have here that I would like to encourage you to get that. Hold on one second, folks. And, sorry, technical difficulty. Today, Kimanzi is going to be sharing how to get published on large publications to help you increase the value of yourself and your business. Kimanzi has been a writer with articles who have been published in 80 publications and magazines, and is a senior editor for the Good Men Project. Let's give Kimanzi a good, warm Breakfast Club welcome.
Woo!
Go ahead, Kimanzi.
That's like a nice little ego boost there on a Wednesday morning. I'll take it. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I enjoyed all the jokes. They were great. I enjoyed the happy birthday and everything that I've heard this morning. Seems like a pretty cool club that you guys got going on here. And too bad it wasn't a different time where we could meet in San Francisco and actually do this in person. That'd have been pretty cool. So here's my premise to you. For those of you that are business owners, for those of you that have something that you're building, or maybe you're just passionate about creating content, passionate about writing or podcasting or making videos, the opportunity to use publications is an opportunity to get whatever it is that you do out there in a bigger way. As far back as business has been around, media and PR has been a strategy that businesses and entrepreneurs and organizations use to increase their visibility. Well, in the time that we live in, media has definitely changed. Back then, it could have been a TV segment that you watched on TV, could have been a commercial. Now you can get news on Twitter faster than you can get it probably anywhere else. Like it all happens in real time. And you can have a video or a post go viral and bring a lot of exposure to your business. We've seen this happen time and time again. Musicians that used to have to get a record deal and they have to go through that process. Now they can put something on YouTube, and if it goes viral, who knows, they can blow up. That's how Justin Bieber, for those of you know who he is, that's how he got started. He got started on YouTube, and now he's this megastar with all these weird things that you see in the media about him, right? So we live in a different time. Now, PR technically is about placements. So let's say with everything that's happening, going on with COVID and our economy and everything that's going on, and you are an expert that could talk about those things, there's an opportunity for you to get on your local San Francisco morning show or another show in other parts of the country that you can do here virtually. So for media, it's about placements. Now, these placements are generally anywhere from 30 seconds to 3 minutes. These aren't long placements when you're getting on TV. Or there's placements where you're getting mentioned in an article. So let's say there's an article that's about COVID, or it's about business growth, or it's about something that you teach, and you are an expert in that thing, and a journalist or an editor is looking to get ideas and you're included in there. Then all of a sudden you're featured in a place. You can be featured in places ranging from Thrive Global all the way to places like USA Today and the Huffington Post and all kinds of good organizations. Now, what I'm going to talk to you about today is going to be different. Placements and media, and it all works with your business and all helps you build your business. and it helps organizations, and it's great. But what I'm talking about is actually becoming a contributor to a large publication, meaning you are creating content on a somewhat consistent basis to places that give you the visibility, but they also give you other benefits. A placement, whether you got on TV, if you got on a big TV show, if you got on Oprah or Steve Harvey or some big show, that can do wonders. We've all heard of the Oprah effect at some point in our lives, right? People that go on Oprah, they get their product featured, she shouts out their book, and all of a sudden they can't handle the volume of business that comes. So it can definitely help. But a feature or a placement, it can come and it can go pretty quickly. It's almost like a commercial, so to speak. So you get the placement, you get a few lines in an article. And for those of you that are not already doing this, there's a service that you can use. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn on the screen share here. There's a service that you can use that's absolutely free. It's called the Horror Reporter. It's helpareporter.com, where you can go and sign up as a source, and 3 times a day, they're going to send you a digest of shows, TV shows, blogs, podcasts, all kinds of media that you could think of that are specifically looking for experts on various topics. It's broken down by category, and it's a great opportunity for you to get press and to get features. It's actually one of the better opportunities for you to get press and features, because when it comes to pitching a feature or a story, there's that aspect of you having to sell yourself. Whereas with something like this, where they're sending you saying we're actively looking for the experts, it takes the selling out of the equation because they've already identified the need. Now, this is great to get that exposure, but with placements and features, the issue is that it's only a short blurb. It might be your story. It might be just you doing a couple lines, but it's not enough to really show the full breadth of what it is that you do and what it is that you teach, which is why I am a fan and an advocate of getting your content published. And when I say content, that word has a different meaning today because most publications are multimedia. So that means written content, that means audio content, and that means video content. All sorts of online publications will take all 3 of those mediums. So for those of you that are going to watch this and you're going to say, I'm not a writer, that's fine. You don't have to be a writer. And even if you claim not to be a writer, like for example, I'm the writer in the family and my wife dreads writing. She absolutely dreads it. So what's a workaround around that? Well, there's all kinds of dictation software that you can use. And you could use something like rev.com where it can just transcribe it for you. So there's ways around that. But if you are an audio creator, if you're a video creator, there's different platforms that you can use today, and you can get that content published on some bigger places. So the why behind this is this: a feature, a mention, a press interview is going to come and go. When you have the contributor count, when they can read your content on a larger publication, something like a Entrepreneur, and they can go through and they can see all of your content, they are getting the best demonstration that you know what you're talking about. It's one thing for somebody to say that they're an expert, that they understand something, that their business can do something, it can help somebody. It's one thing to say that on some copy on a website or an ad or an advertisement. It's another thing to actually prove that. And your content is one of the best ways in the time that we live in to prove that you know what you're talking about. It's a value-driven way to prove that you know what you're talking about. Because before a potential client has ever has invested time or resources with you, they can go and they can consume your content and get a picture of what you believe, how you do what you do, and if you do indeed know what you're talking about. So I am a content marketing strategist. I teach people about content. But let's say I did something else entirely. Let's say I was a leadership development expert. That's what I did. I taught people leadership development. Well, I could come on here and I can have leadership development content, and I can teach people all about leadership development. Let's say I had a physical business. Let's say I had a a massage parlor or some massage parlor somewhere. And I wanted to educate people. Massage is about more than laying on the table, right? And somebody massaging you. It's a part of a bigger ecosystem of self-care and taking care of yourself. Well, if I had a physical business, that's exactly what I would do. I would have a column on some places where I knew that my potential clients would be, and I would educate them on what they need to know about massage, what they should think about, what they should look for in a provider. And then I become the trusted source because I'm educating them on the things that they're curious about. Not to mention, besides educating this, there's also this element of search. So people that are going to Google and that are searching for various topics. Well, when they go to Google and search for a various topic and you pull up, they're going to click on the link. Now, what they click on is going to determine how they feel and how they move forward. If they click on a link and it's to your website, that's great. They can get some value there. If they click on a link and it's to a reputable publication that they know they consume and that they trust, that's the biggest thing, that they trust, they're going to be more likely to go ahead and do something, whether it's purchase services or sign up for your email list or decide to move forward in this process. So that is the why behind this. Publications are a great way to be in the place that your audience already trusts, they already consume. It's a great way to put out content that shows you do indeed know what you're talking about. It's a great way to build trust, because what did Peter Drucker say? People buy from somebody they know, they like, and they trust. Well, that process starts when you start from a place of value first. That's what publications do. They help you show up in search. So your topic, you have content, you show up in search. And then there's this element of, with all of these bigger publications, there's this element of they already have a built-in audience that you are publishing content to. So whether it's Entrepreneur or Success or Business Insider or Fast Company or one of hundreds of other publications that all of you consume and that your consumers consume, whether it is one of those publications, all of them have a massive following. For example, entrepreneur.com has 60 million unique visitors every single month. A place like Forbes gets 110 million unique visitors every month. Business Insider gets 101 million unique visitors every month. So it's not to say that when you publish a piece of content that all 100 million people are going to see it. That's definitely not what I'm saying. But I'm saying you are giving yourself exposure to an audience. And more importantly, it's to an audience that you are creating awareness to. So they don't know who you are from anybody else on the internet or any other service provider, but they have the chance to see you, then the chance to consume your content, then the chance to want to know more, and then at some point in that process want to become a customer of yours. So it's a great strategy for building your business, for building your audience. Again, we live in the digital revolution age right now. There are 4 billion people that use the internet every single day from remote parts of the world. I happen to, before the pandemic, had done quite a bit of traveling for the corporate consulting that we do. And in the last 6 years, I've traveled to 79 countries for consulting gigs at all sorts of corporations, ranging from your small local corporation all the way up to Unilever and Morgan Stanley and some bigger brands. Well, in all my travels to all parts of the world, whether it was Europe or whether it was Africa or all over the world, the one thing that I would see everywhere I went was somebody had a smartphone. Even in the poorest parts of Africa, and my mother is from Mombasa, Kenya. So, and I spent 2 years living in Kenya. So even in the poorest parts of Africa, you still see people with phones accessing the internet. And of course, now in the time that we live in, Elon Musk is putting satellites up above us. Facebook is trying to get access to internet to the remote parts of the world. It's an interconnected society. So the way that the world has moved and is moving is a digital world. And this is where you want to be. This is where your consumer is. Now it's a matter of reaching them in the way that they want to be reached and the way that they expect to be reached. And one of the best ways to do that is through content. So that is why I like large publications as a strategy. Again, media is great and there's a use for it. Placements are great and there's definitely use for it, because then when somebody goes to your website and they can see all of the different logos there on your website, and they can see that things that they know and they understand. There's a lot of different things that you can do to show that you're an expert in what you're talking about. But the things that show that expertise are the things that your consumer understands. Well, you might have won some award and it definitely makes sense and you want to display it, but your consumer might not get it. But they would get if you were on Yahoo. They would get if you were on USA Today. They would understand that completely. So that is the value proposition here and why this should be something on your radar. Now, the good news is in the time and day that we live in, all of these publications that in the past were not attainable unless you were a trained journalist, you were an editor, or you actually worked on the staff of one of these places. These opportunities are attainable now for us as content creators. So we don't have to be the journalist. We don't have to have the PhD in English literature or something like that. We have to be an expert in what we're talking about and show the publication what we would teach their readers. So that's the good news. So what I'm talking about here today and what I'm going to show you is attainable for anybody that's listening to this. Even those of you that have already said in your head that I'm not a writer, this is attainable for you as well. Now, to get here, to get to the bigger publications, the ones, the Inks, the Entrepreneurs, the bigger names, the New York Times, to get to these bigger places, it's a stepping stone process. Your very first article published is probably not going to be in the New York Times. Now, it might if you had a unique angle or unique hook, but it's probably not going to be there. So you want to take a stepping stone approach. Now, really, the process for this starts on your own website. When you are thinking about becoming a contributor to a publication and pitching to one and getting in, they're going to want to know who you are, right? So the way that they determine who you are is going to your website and to seeing who you are. Again, you talking about the things that you've done and all the great things and the amazing things that you've had in your life and your experience is not going to be enough. They want to see who you are demonstrated through a website that shows what you do, how you do it, who you do it for, and then they're going to want to see content that shows you know what you're talking about here. So really it comes down. Now, I told you that we're in the digital revolution and it's an amazing time. But the digital revolution has also disillusioned people in a little bit, thinking that they don't need a website. I can get a funnel. I can use my social media pages. I can just put up a one-page situation and that's enough. Here's the thing, to your consumer, to the large publication editor, to the cold person that doesn't know who you are or what you do, they need enough information to make a buying decision. And when I say buying decision, it doesn't just mean that they purchase something from you. It means that they invest their time, which is extremely valuable. They invest their email address to sign up for your list. That's extremely valuable because we're spammed all day long in the day and age that we live in. And then to invest their resources lastly. So for them to make that buying decision, they have to have enough information. People tend to throw up a site, they have a few items on their site and they think that's enough information, and it's really not. You want to have all the elements that they're going to be looking for. So this is the first place to start. And now I'm not going to get into the weeds of like what should be on your website. If you want to ask me that in the Q&A section, I can definitely talk about that. I don't want to get into the weeds of that. But what I do want to say about this is you have to have the best visual representation of you on the internet. This is your home base. Now, for those of you that say, well, I don't really use my website, I hear that all day long. That's fine. You don't really use your website. You might have referrals. You might have a great warm network. But what happens once that dries up? How many of us have heard the story of somebody that had an amazing, amazing client? It was a big client. It was amazing. It was 98% of their revenue. And then that client decided to take things in-house, or they decided to go with somebody else. And that person who had this amazing opportunity, just their business was just decimated. That happens quite a bit. So you don't want to just rely on referrals in your warm network. You need a way in the day and age that we live in to consistently fill your pipeline with new potential customers. So if you're doing well without your website, how much better could you be doing with a cold traffic optimized website? You could be doing a lot better. And you could be getting customers, and you can be getting customers 24/7. So that's why you need this setup. And specifically, if you're going to go after large publications, you need this to show your expertise, and then you need some good content. Then from there, it's time to get some credentials that you could show a publication. Well, the good news is, again, there's a lot of opportunities for that. So for anybody who's never been published online, there's quite a few publications that you can go after, even though you've never been published online. Thrive Global is one of these publications. If you're not familiar with what it is, Thrive Global was started by Arianna Huffington after she sold the Huffington Post to Verizon for like $40 million or $1 billion or whatever it was. She came and started Thrive Global. Now, Thrive Global is a place for business leaders and content creators to talk about this idea of life and business and work in a healthier way. And that's her vision here. And for the content that you see here created on the website, they do welcome submissions from people that are not on staff. So that would be you. That's what a contributor is. It's a contributor is a person who is not on staff. They're not getting paid from the publication, but they do have the ability to publish content and use that publication to show their expertise. So if you went through Thrive or any publication, you're going to see content on a variety of topics here. Well, you can come here to Thrive Global and you can go to their sign up button, which you saw me go to a little bit earlier, and you can sign up. And once you sign up, they will give you access to a contributor account. From there, you would upload your profile. You would upload a nice photo of you that's going to appear on the internet. So something like this, and then it's going to have a bio that talks about who you are and what you do. They're going to give you a live link so that when consumers are reading your content and they understand what you're saying, they want to know more, they can click on that link and they can sign up for your email list, and you can start building a bigger email list. So Thrive Global, and then with that contributor account, you then will have the ability to publish content. Good news about a place like Thrive Global is you can publish repurposed content. So something that you had on your blog, that you had on LinkedIn, or that you had somewhere else, or maybe it was a really good social media post that just did really well. You can go on Thrive and you can republish it. You just have to make sure that you give attribution back to where it was initially published. So you have a line at the bottom of the article that says this article initially appeared on, and then link to where it initially appeared. But this is a great win to get published content online. This is a publication that when you start pitching the larger publications, they know and they will respect and they will take a look at to get a feel for the type of content you publish. Now, there's a lot of publications that are in this same vein. So for those of you that are business owners here, there's a publication called Business to Community. And the good thing with Business Community, they have a great audience. So like Thrive is sitting around 2 million unique visitors a month. Business Community is sitting around 6 million unique visitors every month. You can come here, you can apply to be a contributor. So you don't have to actually submit a content or a pitch. You fill out an application, you apply, and you can be a contributor. For the women entrepreneurs here, there's another publication called She Owns It. So this is for celebrating and supporting women entrepreneurs. And you could come here and you can see their guidelines here, what they're looking for. These are a little bit shorter articles. They prefer that they're 0 to 500 words. You can go up to 900 words. And what you'll find when you start doing this is shorter is harder than longer. People think, well, I can't write a 1,000-word article. And then when they sit down and do it, the article is like 2,000 words. That's what I've seen in my experience as an editors. People go longer than shorter. So it's actually hard to go shorter. But here's a publication if you are a woman entrepreneur. And of course, I could sit here and I could go on. I could list lifehack.org, Leaders in Heels, Influensive.com, Tiny Buddha, Addicted Success. And I could list probably 100 of these publications that don't require you to have been published anywhere else. They just require you to show what you contribute, and more specifically, not who you are. A lot of people in these situations, pitching situations in general, tend to lead with, here's why I'm authority, here's why you should pay attention to me. And that approach does not work. Because the thing to keep in mind for those of you here that are entrepreneurs in the group, as entrepreneurs, there's things that we know, we understand connection, we understand building relationships. Large publication editors are not entrepreneurs. They're employees of the publications that they work for, and they're traditionally trained journalists. So for them, they don't really care who you are. For them, it's about what practical value are you going to bring my audience. So you might have a lot of accolades and have done some amazing things. They're not really going to care. They're going to care, what is the angle that you're going to take? How is this going to benefit my readers? And then what can you show me that supports you actually know what you're talking about? That's the better approach. I can tell you, as somebody who is a contributor to, has had articles published in all these 80 online publications, and I've even been published in the print edition of these publications, so on newsstands all over the world. I could tell you, I get pitched all day long by people that are like PR agencies and entrepreneurs that are like, hey, can you feature me? And the approach always is, I've done this, I've done that, and it's a version of, I'm a big deal, you should pay attention to me. And those usually just get deleted. Like, they get deleted pretty quickly. And it's going to be the same for a large publication editor that's getting literally thousands of pitches every single day. Literally thousands of pitches. So you get their attention when you show them the value, as we talked about up front, with content. So step one is make sure that you have a cold traffic optimized website that shows your expertise and that has some content that demonstrates that expertise. Step two is to build what I call writer social proof. So it's to go on a lot of these publications that will let you submit content that is either repurposed or that you are that's original content, that these publications don't require you to have been published anywhere else online. So that's step two. Step three is to make sure that you optimize your LinkedIn. So here we are in the Golden Gate Breakfast Club, and we have a lot of entrepreneurs and business leaders and career professionals. Large publication editors are going to check out your LinkedIn profile. They want to see who you are. They want to see what you say that you're an expert in. They want to see that expertise demonstrated. They even want to see some content posted on LinkedIn. So if you're not quite familiar with this, a lot of people don't know this, but you can write a post here on LinkedIn and it appears on a post that goes on your wall. Or you can hit write an article on here, and I don't think a lot of people understand this. You can publish articles on LinkedIn. You can put a nice picture here, headline, and then an article. This is great social proof, and this is definitely what a large publication editor is going to be looking for, is they want to see what articles you have published on LinkedIn. Not to mention that when you publish articles on LinkedIn, it's also going to demonstrate your expertise, and it's going to show potential customers you do know what you're talking about, and they're going to pay attention. So that is step three, is to make sure that your LinkedIn profile is optimized according to what you do. If we went here and looked at your profile and it looks like your LinkedIn profile hasn't been updated in like 3 years, and again, there's some people here that are going to say, well, I don't really use LinkedIn. You should. It's the business network. This is not Facebook. People aren't posting cat photos and all the cute stuff that we see on Facebook here. People are generally here to do business things, to do career things, to do more professional things on LinkedIn. So that's step three. Then step four is to start going after some of these larger publications. Now, the good news is understanding who to pitch and how to get into these publications is actually not that hard. It's not hard at all. Each publication is going to have a staff page. It's either going to be called staff or it's going to be called masthead. So on their staff page, they're going to list out all of their different editors and their different roles. here's the good thing about the time that we live in. Their email addresses are right here on the website. How do I contact them? They made it very simple. A publication is not quite a news organization, so this isn't the New York Times, but they are very similar. So one thing that you'll know with large newspapers and media in general is they're always going to be accessible. Why? Because they don't want to miss a story. So they will consume every pitch, every piece of content to make sure they don't miss something that could be breaking news. And so they make themselves accessible. Same thing with a large publication. They don't want to miss a potential good piece of content. So they're going to make themselves accessible. Now, the type of editor that you're going to pitch at a large publication is going to have this title: Digital Content Director of Digital Content. So you see here, Mr. Dan Bova, he is the person that you would potentially pitch at a publication because he's the person that handles all of the digital content. Now, other publications might call this person a different thing. They might call him contributions editor. That's the person that handles contributors. They might call him blog editor. Again, that's the person that handles contributors. So it's one of those three types of titles. That's the person that you're pitching. So this has a staff page at Entrepreneur. At Time Magazine, if you're going to pitch Time Magazine, they have what they call a masthead. This is an old school journalistic term that refers to the hierarchy of editors on a publication, ranging from the editor-in-chief all the way down to staff writers and contributors. If you went to the Goodman Project, Tony mentioned that I am a senior editor at the Goodman Project that happens also to be in charge of the business section. So the Goodman Project is a website that's changing the conversation about what it means to be a man in the 21st century. Now, for those of you that are like, I want to be a contributor, I want to go on this contributor journey, you can actually send me your content for the Goodman Project and I can review it and publish it on the website. I can do that. We get 3.5 million unique visitors every month. Men and women can contribute to the Goodman Project. About 30% of our writers are women because as men, we need to know a lot of things from the woman's perspective, and we'll tell you that we don't know. So we need that information here. And if you look at the Goodman Project, they do have the masthead format here. So you see here all the way from the founder, Lisa Hickey, who is our editor-in-chief, going all the way down to the section editors. There you go. You're going to see me here in the business section there. And that's masthead. It's an old school term. So every publication is going to have one of these different types of pages, a staff page or a masthead page. You can find the editors. Now, let's say that they didn't have their email address on here. Well, how do I find the email address then if it's not on here to pitch them? Well, again, we live in the digital information age. There's free tools such as hunter.io, which is a great nifty little tool. With hunter.io, you would put the URL to the website or to the publication here, and it's going to kick out the email format that publication, or if you want to put a company here, you can find a company here as well. And it's going to kick out all the email addresses that they have on file, and more specifically, the format that they use. The format's the most important because even if they don't have the person here, if you know the format, you can make an educated guess. So let's say you were going to pitch, you want to pitch a story to Time Magazine, and you looked at the various editors that they have on Time Magazine. And we're going to go ahead and pitch the managing editor our story. Well, let's see here. Then we would put his information right here, and they have a verified email address for Ritu. And now we have his email address. So we have the publication we want. We have the editor we want. Then it's just a matter of putting together an email pitch to pitch this person. Now, you would never call a publication because you're never going to get past the secretary. You would never reach out to them on LinkedIn. Don't do LinkedIn reach outs. Don't do InMail. Don't show up in their inbox. If you spend any amount of time on LinkedIn, you probably have an inbox of people that are pitching you all kinds of stuff. We can help you generate leads. We can help you do this and that. Like, so editors are not going to be looking for a pitch inside a LinkedIn. you would do this through email, and you would actually email this editor. That's what you would do. So hunter.io is a great free tool that you can use, and then you can verify the email address with another free tool, such as Mail Tester. And you got the email address. You go over here to Mail Tester, and then you can verify that this is actually a legit email address. So you got all the information that they need. Then it's a matter of putting together a pitch. Now, the most important part of the pitch is going to be the type of content. If you create an article or a piece of content, and then your thought is, okay, good, what publication can I send this to? Your pitch is already rejected before you've even sent it out. As an editor, I can tell whether or not you wrote something specifically for my publication, or if you just put out a piece of content that you're trying to shop around. We don't want content that you're trying to shop around. We want something that you took the time to go through our publication, to see what our readers are responding to see the type of content that we're putting out, and to see that you created something that's in that vein. Why? Because then we know that when we publish that content, it's going to resonate with our readers versus some random piece of content that you sent us. So the next thing to do is to really go consume the content on the site to get a really good feel for the style of content and to see what we publish, and then to pitch something that is in that same vein. Because then when you do, we know we can publish it. Now, some general rules for the type of things that you want to do is realize, don't send a full article. Send an idea for an article. So here's a couple things that I could write about for your publication. Here's what the proposed headline would be, and here's what it would be about. Send me an idea so that I know and I can choose, okay, yeah, idea 1 works, idea 2 I don't like, idea 3 is great. Send me a few ideas. Now, what if you don't understand, if you look at any publication and you're like, I have no clue what to send, here's something that always works with the publication. Trending news, analysis of what you teach done well. So if there's something in the news, so like COVID-19, the coronavirus and its impact on our world and economy and our lives is something that's not going away for a long, at least not for the foreseeable future, right? So this is the type of content. Look, there's racism and COVID-19 right there on the tab on time.com. Stories specifically featuring those topics, right? So if you want to write about COVID-19 and as it relates to what you teach, it's probably safe to say that most publications are going to be willing to review those pieces because it's something that their readers are searching for and they want to know about. Now, if you sent me a piece on something that nobody really knows about or is not interested in, it's not likely that the editor is going to pay attention. Why? Because when they publish the content, it's not going to do well. And at the end of the day, most of these publications make a majority of their revenue through ads. How do you get more ad revenue? By getting more readership. How do you get more readership? By publishing things that people want. So if you have seen a publication, you might have seen some sensationalized articles that pop up in your feed where you're like, oh, that's like a little scandalous, right? That's happening for a reason, folks. And we all understand what's going on here. But you can take that same approach by using trending news. So if you think about some things that are happening in the news today, so you think about a company like Zoom. We're all on Zoom. Everybody uses Zoom. Zoom came out, some of us used Zoom before all this happened, right? But Zoom came out of the woodwork and became the premier video networking software where they rose. As they rose, they've had some stumbling blocks along the way, right? So maybe there's an analysis you can do of Zoom that could be interesting to a publication, and it would be. Maybe there's a celebrity entrepreneur that you follow. Elon Musk is always doing something very different every day, right? If you publish, hey, here's what you need to know about Elon Musk's media strategy or how he runs his business or operations. Those types of articles, a publication editor is always going to be receptive to. Why? Because when they publish them, they know that they're going to get paid views. Now, the flip side to this is if you had a massive audience. So let's say you had millions of social media followers, you had a big email list, or you had connection to get distribution for your content, they're going to be willing to talk to you because you have the ability to publish your content. So those are kind of some of the things you're thinking about here. You got the email address, You can put together a pitch that says, hello, editor, I enjoy your publication for this specific reason. Give them a reason why. I enjoy time.com because you have a section on America Must Change, or going through their site and whatever the publication is. You could go to Entrepreneur and you can just look right on the homepage and you can kind of get a feel for some of the content that they're putting out here. This is a publication that specifically helps business leaders. And you can look at the type of content that they're putting out here, and maybe you resonate with something on emotional intelligence. All right, well, I enjoy the emotional intelligence content that you put out there for this specific reason. The flattery approach never works with a publication editor. If you're going to say your publication is great and you publish great content, it's going to go nowhere. They're just going to delete your email. They're very busy. They're going to skim. They want to know what's in it for their readers. So give them something very specific. Then talk about yourself in one paragraph. Don't make this a novel. Don't give them your bio. Say, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is why I'm an expert in what I talk about. I have these degrees and certifications. I have worked with these clients. I've been published and featured in these types of places. I've worked with 1,000 clients over the last 20 years on this thing. That's the kind of thing that you want to say. And then you would give them some samples of your work. So we talked about all those publications in the beginning, the Thrive Globals, the She Owns It, even the Goodman Project, for those of you that want to send some content to Goodman Project. Those are the type of links that you can give them so that they can click back and get a feel for the type of content creator that you put out, and then end the email with, here's some potential things that I could write for your publication. I'd like to write an article on how business leaders can master emotional intelligence. I'd like to write an article about how to future-proof your business, recession-proof your business. I like to write an article about how business leaders can understand wellness or personal development. There's a lot of different things that you can cover, that you can talk about that would interest a publication reader. And then once you tell them what the proposed title is going to be, let them know what the article is going to be about. So you would say something to the effect of, I'd like to create an article called How to Recession-Proof Your Business. In this article, I'm going to teach your readers the 5 strategies every business leader and owner can use to make sure that they can withstand pandemics and any unexpected circumstances. I'm going to teach them about software. I'm going to teach them about creating strategic plans. I'm going to teach them about hiring the right professionals so that they can legitimately recession-proof their business. Now, as an editor, I'm going to be receptive, because why? You've given me clear takeaways for my audience. So it's going to be a slam dunk. And then at that point, you send off the pitch. Now, one last thing, before you send off a pitch for anywhere, whether it's a publication, it's an opportunity, you want to make sure that you're tracking the email activity. So another free software tool that you can use is a software called Streak. This is a Gmail plugin. And what this does is it attaches to your Gmail and it shows you whether or not somebody's opened your email and where they've opened it from and what type of device that they're using. This is important. Let's say you pitched a publication editor, and let's say they opened it once and they were busy, but they're planning to come back to it. So they looked at it again. And then 3 days after you pitch, you're sending a follow-up email like, hey, just want to see what's going on with my pitch. Now you are just following up because you want to add value to their audience. But to the editor that you're pitching, it's like, this random person sent me this and I haven't had a chance to look at it again, and now they're already sending me another message. Why is this person rushing me? In that case, your pitch just gets deleted because they don't really need it. So email tracking allows you to know what's going on. And the advice that we always give is, when you're pitching, give it a 7 business day window. So you send a pitch, you wait 7 business days. And in that 7 days, if they never opened your pitch, you would resend the same pitch with a different subject line because they didn't see your email. But if they did open it at the end of that 7-day window, then you would simply send a follow-up message that says, hey, I know you're incredibly busy. I have some great value I want to give your audience. I want to know if you want to see a draft of any of my ideas. And that approach works for an editor because you're not being pushy. So make sure you're using tracking so that you have a clue of what's going on. And so then at this point, you have the strategy. It's just a matter of identifying where do you want to get published, and more specifically, what makes the most sense for what you're doing, whether you're a writer or audio person or a video person or an entrepreneur. Which of these publications makes sense for you to be in? How are they going to help your business? How are they going to help your career or the things that you're doing? Because at the end of the day, when it comes to positioning and value, that was kind of the hook here, right? Is position and value. One very good example that I gave here is on how pro athletes are doing this. So you see pro athletes now are not just playing the sport that they're in. They have social media profiles. You see here in this article, I was talking about LeBron James, and I was talking about Tom Brady started a content production company, because there's got to be life after football, right? There's got to be the next thing that these pro athletes are doing. But more than that, a pro athlete like Michael Pittman Jr., who was at USC, he was a standout wide receiver at USC. He's coming into the NFL as a rookie. If he could come into the NFL as a rookie with this huge following of people that love him, they love his YouTube content and the content that he puts out there, and those people buy his jersey, they buy ticket sales, they are tuned in, and they bring more revenue to the organization, how much more valuable is he going to be when he renegotiates his rookie contract? Because not only is he good at what he does, he has a value that he's bringing to the organization in real dollars. That's the positioning power that content and publications can do for you. So when it comes to you and your ideal client and your prospect, you might be very good at what you do. But when you have the weight of USA Today or Forbes or Inc. magazine, when you have that positioning behind you, you can then charge more for what you do, because you have the positioning and you have the value that they instantly understand. Become more seen of as an expert, right? The plumber or the service provider that might be good at what they do, but they don't have the certification that you understand. It's the same thing in regards to business. You might be the best consultant. You might be the best life coach or business coach out there, and you may have helped some people. But then when you add this positioning and this social proof that they understand, it's just going to increase your value. So that's what I have for you today, folks. Large publications are a great strategy. You can use them. Any business person, entrepreneur, career person can use them to advance your career, and it's totally attainable for everybody that's watching this.
Oh, that was great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kimanzi.
Thank you.
Cool.
I wrote like 3 pages of notes while you were talking. So
Good.
No recording, you know.
my wrist hurts. You know, do you have a few minutes, Kimanzi? Can we
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Let's open it up for some questions. Why don't you just go ahead and show me your hand if you want to ask some questions. Janice, why don't you go ahead and start, and then we'll go to Bill Buchanan.
Kimanzi, that was fantastic. I've seen many, many, many presenters in my life, and even on this topic, and yours was by far the best. So you very, very quickly listed some other publications, Live, Leaders in Hill. I don't know. You said a whole bunch of them really fast. And so could you either put them in the chat or say them slower or something?
Yeah. So do you all save this chat? Because I can put them in the chat if the chat's saved, or you can just
put them in the chat, we can copy it.
Okay, perfect. I'll put them all in the chat. Yeah, there's a lot that you can go after right now that don't require you to have been published anywhere else. So I'll just pop these all in the chat.
Thank you so much. That'd be very helpful.
All right, Bill Buchanan.
Good morning, Kimanzi. Thanks very much for a very comprehensive presentation about publishing. If Ricky Wilson was with us, he would be laughing his head off when he hears me mention my efforts to get published. I've published 3 books in the last few years. One was called Living with Brittany.
Oh, I'm laughing.
Okay. My publishing consultant, Antonio White. Anyway, so and the second one was about my combat experiences in Vietnam. And the third one is called Fur Kids, A Life with Dogs. And that was supposed to be my premier publishing success, right? So Antonio White and I got together and tried to figure out why this book was going nowhere. And Antonio is a very inventive and capable guy. but we finally realized we're trying to revive a roadkill raccoon. So the only contribution I had to publishing, or actually to our life, was to take my pickup truck full of boxes up to recycling, and I contributed to composting. So anyway, I've continued to write op-ed pieces. That market is getting narrower because I'm an independent voter and a conservative politically. So my opportunity window is shrinking to almost nothing. But and everything you said, I mean, based on my, I do have some publishing experience and all that sort of thing. All the bullet points you hit very well, and especially enhancement of our digital world today, which I'm a little bit light on. I have a website and I have a YouTube channel, all that sort of thing. But here's my question for you, Kimanzi. Let's roll it back. I have two businesses right now that they're doing okay. The pace and the volume of business is fine. I don't really have to enhance that. But I'm interested in your business model. Let's roll it back to say 10 years when I was serious about publishing a new book, let's say, and I engage your services. What would be the steps that you would take to consult with me in order to get the maximum opportunity for success, number one? And number two, do you help design websites?
We have a traditional content marketing agency, so website is a part of that process. But more specifically, as you heard, like, I'm a passionate advocate of people optimizing their website as if somebody doesn't know you at all. Because most people build their websites, you go to their website and the homepage, it's like, hi, I'm so-and-so, here's my services, here's my book, here's my this. Now think about this logically. I don't know you at all, and I come to your website because I'm interested in what you teach. And then right away, it's like, buy from me, buy from me, buy from me. It's not likely that I'm going to want to stick around and know more. It's like almost a little bit of a too aggressive approach. It's like the person that you meet at the networking event, they're handing you their business card, they're telling you about the, multi-level marketing or whatever, the wraps, whatever they do. It's that sort of same situation. So yeah, it's something that we do. But as far as selling books or as far as building visibility, after you got the website in place, then the next steps is to go after some of these smaller places that you can get in and get some content published to really establish your expertise. When you want to sell more books, there's no better way, in my personal opinion, to sell books than through large publications. Because if you looked at my profile here on Entrepreneur, for example, you look at all of the different things that they let you link to, what's the one here at the end? It's your book. So that when a reader comes here, they get value from an article that I share, and they're, I want to know more. They buy my book. It's like the quickest way to sell books. And then on top of that, you're getting exposure to a huge audience. So what I would tell you is, and then when it comes to, let's say you want to get a traditional deal, because I self-publish initially, and then now I'm published with the traditional publisher. When you want to go to a traditional publisher, they're not going to give you the time of day if you don't have the ability to market your books. It doesn't matter who you are or how good the book is. If you don't have the outlet to market the book, even with a great literary agent, they're not going to give you the time of day. Well, when you can say, hey, I'm a contributor here, I've been on this podcast, I have this press, that's when you can not only get in the conversation, but you can also negotiate your terms. Because when it comes to books, everybody's like, well, I don't want a traditional publisher because they're going to make me do it their way and this and that. That's not true. They only make you do it their way if you have no bargaining power. But if you had, like, if Elon Musk went to any publisher and said, I want to publish a book, this is the title I want, this is the cover that they want, do you think any publisher is going to say no? No, they're not, because he has that positioning power.
But if I came to RGIC and I said, okay, Kimanzi, here's what I like to do, like to achieve, would you charge me, let's say, by the hour or by the project?
By the project.
Okay.
Yeah, we do have an initial strategy session where if you just wanted some clarity on who you are and what is the next steps and what makes sense, we do have a strategy session that can give you some clarity on what exactly you need to do and decide, well, maybe this isn't for me. And some people decide that that's not for me. So we do have something to give you clarity, and then it would be by the project. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Great presentation, by the way.
Thank you. I'm glad.
All right. Let's see, who else do we have questions from? Antonio always has a question. Hey, Kimanzi, I've got a question for you. I'm a real estate broker, so I have a real estate URL for my real estate work. But you know, and that's fine. It's kind of they got the company branding, but I need to update my own website. So what, you know, do you have a service provider that you recommend for just rolling out a new website that is just you know, that works effectively?
Yeah, we have several. Is there some place, maybe I'll put my email here, and anybody that wants like assistance with that, and I can point you all in the right direction. I'll put my email here in the chat.
That'd be great. Thank you.
And then I do know, we do have a client that's also a real estate broker. I'll show you his website right now. He took a little bit of a different approach because he didn't want to like hone himself to just real estate, but you'd be able to go and look at him. His name is Paul. And so he did this site, and it's interesting because he literally just became a contributor to Entrepreneur, just talking about different real estate sort of situations. So yeah, it's a great topic, and it's definitely a topic that can get you into some places.
Thank you. All right, Antonio?
Hey, I just want to say how much I appreciate this terrific presentation. It's absolutely tremendous value here. The key thing that I take away for folks here, it's your focus on bringing value to the editors and to the publications here. So it's right spot on. I think the one question that I would have for you is how are you able to handle all of this projects here? What does your company look like here? Are you brokering these things out? Is this your own company? How do you manage all this business?
Yeah, we do have a content marketing agency where it's my wife and I are the principals. We run the agency, and then we do have a very limited actual staff that works with us. And then we have different partners that we outsource some of the work to. So in the virtual world, as you know, there's opportunities to outsource work to, but we only deal with agencies that we know and that we have done a lot of business with, that we feel very comfortable handing things off to. As far as the publication side of things, if you can't tell already, I'm very passionate about publications, and I'm very passionate about content creation, which is why I don't just teach this, I do this. To give you a perspective, on average, I probably write around 20 to 25,000 words every week, just for our own stuff. And then this is in addition to being an editor at the Goodman Project. And when I say editor at the Goodman Project, I'm not paid staff. It's a voluntary position for me just to hone my craft and to be better, and then have an outlet for our clients to contribute content. So when it comes to that portion of it, we do this ourselves, like as far as we have a course that teaches it, but we also like create pitches and do this for people. My wife and I are the ones that do that because that's the part of the business that we absolutely love and don't outsource.
Terrific job. Thank you so very much. Huge value.
I think we have time for one more question. And by the way, I just want to say, Kimanzi, I'm looking at the group view, and you know, there's a lot of us here that have either authored books or write a lot for our work. So it's really nice to see everyone sticking around, and you put a huge amount of value on the table to the Breakfast Club this morning. So thank you so much. Let's see what other questions do we have? Reza, you're kind of quiet over there. You always have a question. Bill, do you have any question from your end? Anybody else? You want to show a hand? Antonio's good. Tana? Your mic's off.
I really enjoyed his presentations and learned a lot, but I'm going to check out his website and learn more about it. Probably review the presentation one more time. And I have a better questions then. Yeah.
Definitely excellent one of those presentations we'll want to review.
Yes.
Well, Kimanzi, thank you again for joining us this morning. Let's give Kimanzi a great hand.
Thank you so much for having me, and this was great. And thanks for the invite, everybody. And I hope to see you all published.
All right. Thank you. And don't forget, Kimanzi's got his information in the chat, and we'll look forward to our next speaker next week. Let's see, who do we have here? We've got Krister. Well, actually, no, hold on, I take that back. On this 22nd, we have Gil Sanborn, who's going to be talking about Russian information warfare. And then on the 29th, we have Christer Ungerbach, and he's going to be talking about the Talk Shift movement. So there you go. All right, guys, have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. Have a great week.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for having me.
Come on back, Kimanzi.
Have a great week, everybody.
You
Stay safe.
too, Mr. Pitch Freak.
Bye.
Bye, all.
Okay. Hey, Tony, just quick.
Tony, thank you.
Yeah. Great job. Hey, where did you cut off? Did you run the recording through the whole meeting?
I'm just now turning it off.
Oh,